We are one nation. You mustn't listen to those fools that want to divide us. We are one nation. We are white, black, Indian, colored. This is our country. We are together. There are some haters. There are some haters that want to separate us. But we are the children of Nelson Mandela. We are one nation. You look at the crowd here. There's all sorts of people here, all colors, because that's who we are, South Africa. We are a great nation. And to the athletes, to the officials, I, as the sport minister, I'm very proud of what you have achieved. I can promise the nation that come 2028 in LA, you will see a different team of South Africans competing. We can't go there and have our athletes struggle. I'm an action man. So the work starts, I'm an action man. So the president already had foresight to this problem. So I'm now appointed, and everybody knows I'm not just talk. In 100 days, I will be able to tell the nation what I've done to make sure that we take no less than 300 athletes to LA. We live in the most talented, the greatest country in South Africa. We must invest money in our athletes. And I'm going to make sure that whatever they put in, we must give them back, because they invested in for the country. We can't sit by while they took their last money and brought a medal back. That will never happen. The problem we had in this country, the corporate sector gives the money and officials are going overseas with the whole families, with friends, people that should not be there. I was criticized for cutting Botha and Mama Joy and those people. But today you heard from a medalist saying that we are struggling. It is not the responsibility of Supersport to make sure that the people of this country see the game. We are responsible for our people not watching the games, and we must fix it as politicians. And I intend to.
So now, Minister, the time is here. We've rolled out the red carpet for the athletes. Just a thought on our Team South Africa performance at the Olympic Games.
Well, firstly, we are ecstatic about the performance. Myself and the MEC, we were just speaking, and we said that they've doubled their tally. We got, you must always admit when people have done better. They got 3 medals in Tokyo. In Paris, we are standing on 6 medals. We also have our most decorated Olympian here today, Tatiana. I mean, they have done very well under trying circumstances. But I can promise the nation that come 2028 in LA, you will see a different team of South Africans competing. We can't go there and have our athletes struggle. It's not their fault, it's our fault as leaders. We should take full responsibility. But I'm promising that it will never ever happen where there's one athlete, and not under our watch, where there's one athlete that complains about inadequate help. But I'm excited. South Africa is great. This is a massive opportunity for us. A massive, massive opportunity for our country to showcase the best of our athletes.
Now, I don't want to dwell too much on the negativity because this is a positive occasion, but talk me through some of the work that's gone into making sure that we don't have a repetition of some of the issues. You're saying not under your watch. So what is it that you're hoping to do to make sure that this isn't the case come 2028?
I think the work started with the president already of the country. Look who he appointed. I'm an action man. So the work starts, I'm an action man. So the president already had foresight to this problem. So I'm now appointed. And everybody knows I'm not just talk. In 100 days, I will be able to tell the nation what I've done to make sure that we take no less than 300 athletes to LA. We can't take 134 athletes only. We must take 300 minimum. We live in the most talented, the greatest country in South Africa. And we have plans, and the MEC then said something very important. He said to me, you know what? The road to LA starts at school sport. And I said to him, at community sport also. We must invest money in our athletes. And Van Dijk, I want to congratulate her for speaking up and speaking out. I spoke to her this morning. I'm about to speak to her father. And I'm going to make sure that whatever they put in, we must give them back. Because they invested in for the country. We can't sit by while they took their last money and brought a medal back. That will never happen. But rest assured, sport will change in South Africa.
Look, Xolo Adams, it was already a promise made that you would take him to France and make sure that he is rewarded following the controversy. What is the update there? Were you able to assist him? Was he able to go to France? What other assistance is going to be offered to that athlete?
Right. What we've done, we got him accommodation, we booked his flights, and then his psychologist said, we are not in charge of if he can run. We promise we'll get him there. Then his psychologist came back and said to him, no, it wouldn't be good for him to be there mentally if he doesn't know if he's going to run. He needs to be prepared mentally. He is one of my first meetings I will have, but we have kept our promise to him that we will make sure he gets there. But we can't go against doctor's orders. But flights, accommodation, everything was arranged. And I think he wanted to go, but he's a disciplined man that said, I'm going to listen to my doctor. But we're going to make sure that him, Akani Simbi, all those Simbini, all the people that we have, they must make sure that the next wave of sprinters wait in them. They're not going to be lost in the system. They're going to come right here next to us. And we're going to make sure that they help us unearth the next athletes. Tatiana's retiring, but that is like a semi-retirement. I'm going to speak to her because we need to make sure there's more Tatianas coming.
Talk to me about the financial incentives, Minister.
The financial incentives, what I've been told by SASCOC is that if you get a gold medal, I think it's 400,000. I'm speaking under correction. I think silver 250, bronze 200, something like that. But from us, that's them. My department. And I'm speaking here, MEC, you must not include yourself in this one. You must also make a separate plan. The MEC must not include him in this one. He has his own budget. But from my department, I can assure you that next week, I'm going to invite you, where I'm also going to show you what I'm giving them.
Looking at the Gauteng athletes, you mentioned Bayanda Walaza as a student who has come through to the Olympic Games. How do you then make sure that he's reintegrated in terms of his education, because he did have to postpone his matric exams to attend the Olympics?
When you're in high school and you win a silver medal at the Olympics, what is matric? We were not that talented, but even I passed matric. How can such a talented man have a problem? These people are worrying about matric. There's nothing for that boy. You know what is his middle name? Joy. Joy is his middle name. He brought joy to us. We've got this whole school here. 300 kids came to come and welcome him. Matric is going to write it with one hand. He'll finish that matric with one hand. Thank you. Now, people have this thing, mainly ministers. We always complain we don't get enough money. But we never say, what do we do with the money? I am one minister, I don't have a problem with the money I got. As long as we spend it right. I must now go back to Treasury and show them, look, you gave me 7 billion. This is how I spend the 7 billion. Can you now give me more? But I can't expect the Minister of Finance to just give me more by virtue of me being appointed. What I want to say to you is that in every country in the world, government plays but a small part compared to the corporate sector. The problem we had in this country, the corporate sector gives the money and officials are going overseas with the whole families, with friends, people that should not be there. They've never played sport. You know when I as a minister or the MEC, when we go overseas, I go to meetings of ministers, meetings to facilitate the future of sport, arts and culture internationally. But you can't take people there. You don't know what are they doing there. And then people are complaining. I was criticized for cutting Bota and Mama Joy and those people. But today you heard from a medalist saying that we are struggling. It can't be. So I'm saying to you, we're not going to ask for more money from Treasury. That is not what we're going to do. Before we do that, we're going to make sure that money goes to the right people, the right places, because there's money. Government gets blamed for nothing here. Everybody blames government. Government is not supporting. It is us, the functionaries of government, that is not using the money well. In my department, I can promise you, I've already cut even people that were supposed to go to the Olympics. I'm like, are you running? Are you jumping? No, you stay. You stay. I've cut so many people that were supposed to have been at the Olympics. I cut them because that money that I cut, you know what I'm going to do with that money? I'm going to give it to the gold medalists, to the silver medalists, to the bronze medalists. There's money that I cut. That saving, I'm taking that saving, I'm going to. Because when you take somebody overseas, it's hotel accommodation, it is food, it is transport. That is not 5 rand taxi there. It's very expensive, the transport that side. Thank you.
Minister, I'll let you go. I'm sure you've got other engagements to get to, but thank you
this
for
is
your
South
time.
Africa, can you see? We are one nation. You mustn't listen to these fools that want to divide us. We are one nation. We are white, black, Indian, colored. This is our country. We are together. There are some haters. There are some haters that want to separate us. But we are the children of Nelson Mandela. We are one nation. You look at the crowd here. There's all sorts of people here, all colors, because that's who we are, South Africa. We are a great nation. And to the athletes, to the officials, I, as the sport minister, I'm very proud of what you have achieved in Paris.
Minister, will South Africans be able to watch the Springboks on CCA Channel on the 31st?
I am working on that. Ask me that question. I am working on it. I met with Supersport. And you know, there's a wrong perception which I want to fix now. There's a perception I want to fix. I want you to record this. There's something I want to fix here. When we say we are going to war, we are not going to war against newsroom, against SABC, against newsroom, against Supersport. It is not the responsibility of Supersport to make sure that the people of this country see the game. Now, people have the wrong impression. I'm going to war with a broadcaster because I'm going to war with us politicians because we must make money available. The business of Supersport is based on broadcasting rights. So if I expect Supersport tomorrow to give these things for free, I'm killing that business. I never made that expectation. I did meet with Supersport. And that question that you ask, because Mandela got his T-shirt 30 years ago, it's the very same team, very same stadium. So I'm talking to them. But this thing where we expect, we are the public broadcaster, we are politicians. These people depends on us. We can't put that responsibility on newsroom, on e-news, on Supersport. No, it's wrong. We are responsible for our people not watching the games, and we must fix it as politicians. And I intend to fix that as the Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture. And I don't want to tell you, but I'm busy negotiating that particular game.
Are you positive?
The attitude of Supersport has made me very positive. Very. The attitude is not one of arrogance. It's one of listen to us and we listen to you. So we are waiting now for them to get back to us. But we had a meeting yesterday. We said this is an important game. Find it in your heart for the South Africans to be able to watch this game. While we are fixing, so I just want to put it out there. People stupidly think we want to tell Supersport or newsroom or e-news. No, bring it here. We're not a communist country. We are not a socialist country. We are a country that must help our businesses. That's a business. So what I'm going to do, next week, I'm going to give feedback. But there's big things coming for South Africa. I've got big meetings, which I'm not going to tell you this weekend, that is very big for South Africa. I'm going somewhere. And when I come back, I'll come with good news. Thank you very much. And I'm not telling you where I'm going.
Well, we'll be looking forward to it, Minister.
Wow, guys, another really interesting one from Gayton Mckenzie. One of the things I really enjoyed actually from his speech was the fact that he spoke about how, most of the athletes that actually just went to represent South Africa in this last Olympic, actually, most of them sponsored themselves from, most of their expenses were from their own personal funds. You see, and that's really interesting because both the whites, the blacks, Indians, every athlete that actually, represented South Africa, most of them anyway, had themselves fund a part of their expenses on their own. And that speaks of a kind of patriotism I've been arguing that's actually springing from South Africa. In fact, the recent one I've just been going through today, the guy in Matric who took silver. I mean, like in the 4x100, if you watch the 4x100, relay race, which was really powerful, where Simbi Akani, I think that's his name, Simbi Akani, I think he took the silver. Yeah, the silver, actually. they actually outran the US, and the guy is really fast. I was so surprised at how he kept up the pace with the Canadian who won the race. Really powerful race. And so the fact that among one of the four that actually ran that race, a part of the four of them, one of them, I think the guy is actually, a grade 12 learner. So his name is Bayanda Walaza. And he actually won silver at the 2024 Paris Olympics, as part of the South Africa's 4x100 meters relay team. The excited guy, he's actually 18 years old. You see, and this is now after, winning this race, he actually getting the silver for this race. He says that it's kind of scary. I wouldn't lie. I know this time when I go back to school, everyone would scream. I just have to adjust to it. So it's kind of like a grade 12 learners, what would many South Africans call a matric, who's actually representing his country. And it takes me back to what JFK actually said. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. But for the South Africans now to have this mindset and yet not have the government really assisting them. And this is one of the reasons why Gayton Mckenzie exploded on the superfans issue, right? That the superfans get a lot of support from the government. Why the athletes themselves, who they actually go to support and watch, do not have enough support to really enable them. And the fact that this grade 12 learner actually represented such a powerful country as South Africa in this kind of game speaks to the fact that the ideology Gayton Mckenzie has to take sports to the schools. So Gayton Mckenzie wants to bring back, sports in schools and to extract talents that are actually hidden in schools. And that's why many of you, as I've seen in your comments, many of you attribute a lot of wisdom to Gayton Mckenzie for that approach and taking back, trying to really hunt for talents back in schools and really invigorate the sports fever, at the level of the schools. And for me, this was a really interesting story, that it says that Walaza, this grade 12 runner, sprinter. It says he joined Kuro. I think the name of the school he attends is actually Kuro Hazeldine. Kuro Hazeldine in Pretoria. That's his school, and he's actually a grade 12 pupil. In fact, after the race, I think 2 or 3 days later, he was supposed to have a mathematics test or so. So he actually had to rush down to South Africa to meet up for that test. So it speaks of the patriotism that is really evolving right now in South Africa. And this is not a white guy. This is not somebody who's Afrikaans. This is not somebody we could argue is, but this is a black South African, you see. And, here it speaks about this comment here in this report I found. It says that the best part of this story is that the school raised their own funds to send his high school coach to the games for support for this race. Wow, that's really something. I mean, like the school themselves, they actually raised funds to actually sponsor his coach. You see, and so that's why Gayton Mckenzie speaks, when he speaks this passionately about the Ministry of Sports, Arts and Culture and the corruption and the rottenness that actually goes on in these ministries. You see, you can see the passion, because I think this is really sad personally for me that, a lot of the athletes representing South Africa are not able to get sufficient support, even their coaches and all that, to represent. But yet they know that by springing forward to represent their country, they would, will have a lot of impact on their name and their reputation as sprinters going forward. And, this pursuit to represent their countries globally then become that push. You see, while the government should actually, in my thinking anyway, I think the government should be the driver of this patriotism, you see, because if the government themselves is able to back patriotic citizens of any country with the power the government has, with the power invested in the state, I think nations would be much more perceived as very highly powerful. Like if you watch the performance of many of the Americans, the United States of America, their Olympic athletes, man, those guys are crazy. I mean, like they have the heart of lions. They actually enter the race to win. There's no, gray line. And I think I saw a report, I think it was from, I don't know which African country it was. It says that for almost 10 years or 8 years in a row, that some African countries have not had a medal at the Olympics, you see. But yet, we see the same black guys, right, who are as American citizens. And it's really interesting because when you watch these sprint races on the Olympics, you see everyone is black. Not everyone all the time anyway, but most of the races, you see that I think there was this particular one that really got me really here, thinking all the athletes, the sprinters, they were all black. From even a black from Asia, I think. One of the countries in Asia was represented by a black person. The Irish, the Brazilian, the Jamaican, and all that. Everyone was black, running for different countries. But then you see that the Americans themselves came with a different build. They were made differently. They actually came to win. Most of the time, they came to really roar. When you see even Noah Lyles of the United States. You see, although he actually won the Jamaican sprinter, I think by 4,000th of a second. I think his torso was able to just really go beyond the winning line to get there. But the fact that we have a lot of blacks representing different countries, and then the blacks in the motherland are unable to keep up with the blackness that's really representing most other countries. I think it's something that should speak volumes, and that's why I really applaud the South African sprinters here with Akani and this matric 18-year-old grade 12 matric student from South Africa. With a heart to represent the country, even at the level of matric, because I think there's this salient thought at the back of our minds as many Africans, but this is West Africa anyway, I don't know how it is in South Africa, but there's this thing at the back of our minds that, we cannot really do too much for the country at a certain young age. There has to be an age to get to, probably from the late 20s, 28 to 36 to 40, before one can start having massive impact in society. But you see this guy here, this matric, I'm so impressed by his achievement. Bayanda Walaza of Kuro Hazeldine school in Pretoria. I mean, he made South Africa really proud, and you can see the excitement on Gayton Mckenzie's face, and Gayton Mckenzie really still expressing the notion that, South Africa is a diverse country. There's really no point dividing South Africa anymore. South Africa is represented by the whites, the blacks. We said the Miss SA, beauty pageant won by, I think she's Afrikaner, Mia Leroux, who had the cochlear implant. We see now this guy who is a black South African making South Africa proud as a grade 12 student, taking silver. And if they can really push hard with enough support, because I think I was reading a report by how much meals and supplements and all that swimmers, just to represent the country in swimming alone, has to consume daily to be at top performance, which costs a lot. And so if the government can actually push these guys who have, with this weak support, brought silver at the track and field events, the globally popular 4x100 race, that really shook the world during the time of Usain Bolt. And the South Africans can actually go and represent and bring a silver medal home with much push from the government, especially from the sports ministry now with Gayton Mckenzie. I think that South Africa would actually make a louder, impression at the global stage, you see. And this other guy here speaks about how if our athletes can get the support they so desperately need to perform at this level, we can be great again in athletics. We have all the talent, but it needs to be nurtured from a young age and developed. Well done, Teams SA. So this is actually from Heirik Veldman, who's really proud of the performance of these guys. There's this other one here, Tando Masanobo. He actually says that, I know that University of Pretoria will be knocking on his door really hard. Sibusi says that children must be encouraged to participate in sports in school, and this helps grow their growth and development, as exercising is an important element in physical and psychological development. This guy, Arushuki, actually says, well done, young man. The whole SA is proud of you. Soon you will win the gold at the Olympics. Hard work pays off. Keep pushing. You will reap the fruits of your labor, you see. So I think this is something that a lot of South Africans now, those of you who watch this channel, should really learn. This guy actually is a derivative, I would argue, of the quote by JFK, who says, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. I think he was just kind of like, I don't know how much he must have really been so excellent for the school to have believed in him so much, to push him to start training for this such a global, competition. And Akani Simbi, actually, is actually, really popular also in the track and field. He might actually endorsed this 18-year-old high school matriculant at Kuru Hazeldin High School to actually believe in him and have him. I think he ran the first lap or the second lap of this relay race. And somebody here says from tracks, he says he got maths next week. So even at the point of the race, after running that race, bringing silver home, he had mathematics tests the next week. So they had to rush him back home. So it speaks of a really interesting patriotism that, I really wish that many Africans can actually have for their countries. Because you see, I have a feeling, especially maybe in West Africa anyway, I know South Africans, there's this really growing patriotism that's springing up right now. But in many countries, the patriotism is failing because they do not see the performances of their government. They do not see that their lives are improving despite the revolutionary, decisions and policies that have been put up. Africa 2063, Vision 2040, Vision 2035. The young people are not really feeling the effect of these visions. And so many people are losing their patriotism. But in South Africa, it's slowly becoming, I can feel a different case with the likes of Gayton Mckenzie, sports minister, with the likes of, Correctional Services Minister Dr. Peter Grunwald, with Agricultural Minister John Steenhuisen, with Minister of Education Gwarube, Gwarube, I think that her name is Gwarube, from the DA as well, and then also from Inkatha Freedom Party, Velenkosi, Chabisa, and all that. There's a really powerful patriotism that actually seems to be fighting to be an example that actually now springs from a really complex democratic space that we are still trying to understand under the government of national unity. But this is actually, for me, I was really encouraged to hear this matriculant guy really representing the country. And I really hope that hopefully it doesn't get so much into his head that he loses focus in terms of his school. I know many people now have been talking about how school hasn't been helping a lot of people anymore. It seems that people are getting more miseducated in the educational system and all that. I hope he's able to finish, his education. And then if he decides to go into track and field fully, to put in all the passion that he has, all the promises to get to become the top of the top, especially at this age, taking the medal, the second medal, the silver medal, bringing that home for South Africa. If he has a really powerful, solid push from the government, from the Ministry of Sports, Arts and Culture, especially now Gayton Mckenzie will be there for 5 years. I think that South Africa is going to be is a bomb waiting to explode on the world scene positively at the level of sports and culture. And so this is something I just thought that, it was a really interesting report, and also Gayton Mckenzie's speech here, really patriotic. But what do you guys think about it? Share your thoughts in the comments.